Do you know what Arthur said to me 2 years before he died? He said, "Vinny, I'm worried about money." Imagine that. $400,000, and he still died worried about money. Let me tell you about a man named Arthur Bennett. Arthur lived 2 blocks from me. Arthur didn't want to feel left out, so he bought a brand new Cadillac, even though his old car was running perfectly fine. I'm 108 years old. I came to this country from Naples in 1928 with my father, my mother, 3 sisters, and $40 hidden inside my father's shoe. I have been making shoes and watching people make financial mistakes for over 80 years. I'm not a banker, I'm not a professor, I'm a cobbler from Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, who retired comfortably on a working man's wages because I learned, sometimes the hard way, what not to buy. Today, I'm going to give you that list. Never buy a boat. I want you to hear me clearly. There's an old saying. I don't know who said it first. Maybe it was God himself. The 2 best days in a boat owner's life are the day he buys it and the day he sells it. Arthur's boat cost him $22,000. The slip cost $3,200 a year. Maintenance was another $1,800. That's $5,000 a year for something he used only 6 times. Do the math. That's over $800 every single time he stepped on that boat. He could have rented a boat. He could have gone on a cruise. He could have stayed home and stayed rich. Instead, he bought something that made him feel rich, spent money like a rich man, and died with the worry of a poor one. Never buy a timeshare. I have watched people walk into those presentations and walk out owing $15,000 for 1 week in Florida they'll use twice and spend the next 20 years trying to get rid of. Let me tell you about Evelyn Parker. She bought a timeshare in 1993 for $12,000. By the time she died, she had paid over $40,000 in maintenance fees alone. That was $1,200 a year for 30 years for a place she stopped visiting years earlier. That's $40,000 for nothing. That money could have paid for every vacation she ever wanted and still left $20,000 for her grandchildren. If you're thinking about buying a timeshare, the person you need to talk to is a lawyer who will talk you out of it. Never buy a house that's too big for your life today. Not the life you used to have, the life you have right now. I had a customer named Dominic Russo, beautiful man, a retired union electrician. His children were grown and gone, yet he stayed alone in a 5-bedroom house in Staten Island because that's where he had raised his family. To him, leaving felt like losing. That house cost him $4,500 a year in maintenance alone, property taxes, heating bills, lawn service because his knees were bad. That's $375 every month just to sit in rooms nobody uses. Over 10 years, that's $45,000 gone. And the house was full of ghosts, not people. He finally sold it and moved into a 2-bedroom condo and later told me it was the best decision he had ever made. But he waited 7 years too long. Never buy your adult children's peace of mind. This one cost me the most. For 10 years, I gave my son Marco Jr. money. A little help here, mortgage help there, a little something whenever life got tight. I kept the list. By the end, it totaled $80,000. I told myself it was temporary, that it was just a father helping his son. But do you know what it really was? It was me buying silence, buying the feeling that I was a good father, buying gratitude. And let me tell you something, gratitude does not stay bought for long. He never paid back a single dollar. I don't say that with anger anymore. I say it so you understand this. When you write a check to your adult child, write it as a gift and know it's gone. Or don't write it at all. because the resentment that grows when a loan silently becomes a gift costs more than money. Your adult children are adults. Their emergencies are not your retirement plan's emergencies. Never buy things for the life you wish.
I see people spending money on a version of themselves that exists only in their imagination. There is a treadmill in half the basements in Brooklyn that has become a very expensive coat rack. That treadmill cost $800, and the guilt of looking at it every day makes it cost even more. Every dollar has a job. Make sure it's working for you, not against you. Never buy the newest version of something that already works. Your phone works. Your television works. Your car gets you where you need to go. The companies that make these things figured out something clever. They make you feel poor for owning something that still works perfectly. I drove the same car for 11 years. My neighbors thought I was struggling. Meanwhile, I was saving $600 a month in car payments they were making. That's $7,200 a year. Over 11 years, that's more than $79,000 that stayed in my pocket. The bank doesn't care about your feelings. It cares about your payments. Never buy extended warranties on replaceable things. They are selling you fear. The refrigerator breaks, you buy another refrigerator. A warranty on a $400 television costs $80. Either it lasts 10 years or you replace it. These warranties exist because they make money for the store, not for you. Say no. Walk away. Take that $80 and put it somewhere it can grow. Never overspend on a funeral. You cannot afford to impress people who won't remember it a month later. I have watched families spend $15,000, $20,000 on funerals, while the person being buried spent their whole life being careful with money. The mahogany casket, the flowers, the reception, the guilt of thinking spending less means loving less. Let me tell you what I've learned in 108 years. The people who loved you already know you loved them. You do not need to prove it with a casket. My wife, Isabella, God rest her soul, told me plainly, spend the money on the living. I did, and I have never regretted it. Never buy silence with your money. Never lend money to keep the peace. Never spend money to avoid a hard conversation. Never give money to someone who will resent you the moment you stop. I once said no to my daughter, Sophia. She wanted $30,000 for a business idea that had no business being in business. She didn't speak to me for 4 months. Then she called. Then we had Thanksgiving together. Then Christmas. Then 20 more years of a real relationship because I respected her enough to say no. If I had given her the money, she would have lost it, and eventually she would have blamed me for letting her lose it. Sometimes the most loving thing money can do is stay in your pocket. What I want you to do right now, take a piece of paper. Write down every monthly payment you're making for something you don't truly use. The club membership, the forgotten streaming service, the storage unit full of things you're paying not to decide about. Add it all up, then ask yourself, what would this money become in 5 years if I kept it? That's the question Arthur Bennett never asked himself. Don't be Arthur. I'm Vincent DeLuca. I'm 108 years old. I have seen people retire rich and die poor, and I have seen people retire modestly and die secure. The difference was never how much they made. The difference was always what they refused to buy. You do not get to retire twice. Get it right the first time. God bless you. Now go do the math.